Have you ever noticed that some of Thailand's biggest industries aren't actually selling physical products? Think about it. When you look past the surface, what they're really marketing is something way more powerful and honestly, a lot more fragile. They're selling attention, affection, companionship, and in a lot of cases, just a little bit of hope. Now, before the comment section lights up like a blooming Christmas tree, let me clear something up. This video isn't an attack on Thailand or Thai women or the foreigners who come to Thailand, and I'm definitely not here to pass moral judgment on anyone. The reality is much more complicated and a lot more fascinating than just saying this is right or this is wrong. So what I want to talk about today is the massive invisible engine driving a huge part of the local economy. It's something that most people participate in without even realizing it. And I call it the business of loneliness. Because once you start looking closely, you realize that entire industries here are built around one simple, raw human need, the desire to feel wanted. And when you mix that deep emotional craving with cold, hard cash, things get incredibly interesting. So, let's start with a basic question. Why do we pay for things we're technically supposed to get for free? Friendship, conversation, a sense of belonging, these aren't supposed to have a price tag. Yet millions of people pump astronomical amounts of money into chasing them. Why? Because loneliness is a hell of a drug. It's one of the most isolating, heavy emotions a person can carry, and modern society is manufacturing lonely people at an absolute record pace. We are more digitally connected than at any point in human history, but somehow we've never felt more isolated. We work alone behind screens. We eat alone. We travel alone. Eventually, that isolation drives us to look for an exit. Some people find genuine connection naturally, but others, they end up stepping right into a massive commercial market designed to fill that void. Now, Thailand didn't invent loneliness, but it did get exceptionally good at monetizing it. And look, every country does this to some degree, but Thailand perfected the art of turning human connection into a structured industry. Now, the most obvious place to see this is in the nightlife. People assume bars are in the business of selling alcohol, but you can buy a beer at any 7-Eleven for a fraction of the price. What these places are actually selling is atmosphere, recognition, and tailored attention. Think about the regular customer who goes back to the exact same bar night after night. It's not because the drinks are amazing, it's because the staff remembers his name. They smile when he walks in. They ask, how was his day? Now, to someone who feels completely invisible in their everyday life back home, that tiny bit of recognition means absolutely everything. The drink is just the cover charge. The feeling of being seen is the actual product. But over the last few years, this dynamic shifted from the real world straight into our pockets. Dating apps turned attention into data. Suddenly, human connection became measurable. It became about likes, matches, and follower counts. And the moment you can measure attention, you can monetize it. Then came the explosion of social media and live streaming across Asia. TikTok, Facebook Live, you name it. Suddenly, you didn't need to leave your house to buy companionship. So let's take TikTok gifts. For example, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry built on people spending actual money to send digital roses and cartoon hearts that don't even exist. But why do they do it? They aren't buying a digital graphic. They're buying the creator's reaction. They're simply paying to hear their name spoken out loud. Sawadee ka, John. Thank you for a rose, Naka. That split second of acknowledgement, that brief moment of connection, is worth the price of admission for someone who is lonely. Now we see this same psychology playing out on YouTube with vlogger couples channels. Viewers think they're just watching casual entertainment, but over time, a parasocial relationship forms. They get emotionally invested in the couple's life, their struggles, their milestones, and it fills a gap in the viewer's own life, providing a safe, predictable sense of companionship. The creator gets his views, the platform gets their ad revenue, and the audience gets a sense of belonging. Everybody wins, but the underlying currency is still loneliness. And that brings us to the more controversial side of things: sponsor culture and agency marriages. Now people love to judge this stuff online. They reduce these arguments down to pure financial transactions, but that is actually missing the point entirely. If it were just about money, it wouldn't be this widespread. What people are often buying here isn't just physical attention, they're buying certainty, they're buying consistency, safety, and the comforting illusion that they actually matter to someone. And the same goes for agency marriages. They exist purely because the demand is there, fueled by aging populations, modern dating fatigue, and profound isolation. Where there's a human being craving, a market will always rise to meet it. And the wild thing is, this trend is not slowing down. Technology is actually accelerating it. With AI companions right around the corner, we're entering an era where people can talk to an algorithm 24 hours a day with zero fear of any rejection. We've literally turned loneliness into a tech market. And Thailand just happens to be the place where all these forces collide in the most visible way possible, whether it's through tourism, nightlife, live streaming, sponsor culture. Is all connected by that same fragile thread, the desperate human desire to connect. Now, if we're being completely honest with ourselves, almost everyone watching this video has participated in this economy somehow. Maybe you've paid for a premium dating app, sent a super chat to a favourite creator, or just spent money at a bar because you wanted some company. And you know what? That is fairly normal. Wanting to be seen, wanting to belong, that's not a flaw. It's the most human thing about us all. The uncomfortable question we have to ask ourselves going forward is this: what happens to society when our loneliness becomes the most profitable thing about us? So, did Thailand build an industry around loneliness? Yes, absolutely. But only because they recognized a truth that applies to all of us, no matter where you're from. At the end of the day, this isn't a Thailand story, it's a human story, because in a world that's growing increasingly cold and isolated, the most valuable product you can sell someone is the feeling that, even just for a moment, they actually matter.